Now that the design is complete, it's time to trace the shape. The dotting marker included in your Fleek Light is a skin-safe, ultra-fine-tipped, smudge-proof pen. It doesn't stain the skin, yet it is strong enough to hold if you apply primary numbing cream over the markings. If you're practicing on yourself and you didn't prep the brow region with alcohol, do that now. Be sure to remove all oils and makeup from the skin. If the included dotting marker does touch oil or makeup, you will need to reactivate the marker by wiping it off. Do this by gently drawing on some tissue. For your physical position to the client when tracing the design, we find it best to move your chair to the left of the client when you trace the left brow, and move to the right of the client when you trace the right brow. When dotting, we find it best to position your hand under the brows and rest your wrist on the chin rest for stability. Coming from underneath, your hand won't block the projectors and will allow you to see the outline and dot simultaneously. You can also choose to rest your pinky or side of your hand on the client's cheek for extra stability. Ask your client to stay still during the dotting process. Small movements are okay and the brows will track, but it's easiest if the client can stay more still. Start by dotting the bottom of the brow outline precisely on the line. You can space the dots closer or further to your preference. Closer may yield a more precise outcome, but further, more spaced out can work if you have a greater eye for symmetry and want to be quicker. We find that if you press the marker on the skin very lightly and wiggle it a touch, this transfers a slightly more visible dot without being too big. Dot along the entire bottom of the brow and continue on the top of the brow. Now reposition your chair to the other side of the client to transfer on the other brow. Dot along the bottom and then the top, and reactivate the marker if needed. If you see the dots misaligning during the dotting process, the tiara may have slipped a touch. Once you notice, reposition the tiara so that your dots line back up before proceeding. Once the dots have been traced, check to make sure both sides are done correctly. In the beginning, especially if you're not used to using dots only as the brow map, we suggest using a China pencil or string to connect the dots so you can confirm the shape is traced correctly. As you get used to working with the Fleek Light, you may feel you don't need the China pencil tracing anymore. Now that you have the client-approved brow shapes on their face, you can proceed with your procedure.